Hello everyone. Today I'm going to start with Indian Contract Act of 1872. Now what is Indian Contract Act, when it came to existence, and what is the limitation, means what it is extended to. Let's see. Okay, so we will start with the Indian Contract Act introduction. That is the Indian Contract Act 1872. It is extended to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It came into force on 1st September 1872. There were three specific types of contracts, such as contract of sale, mortgage of immovable property, which are not covered by the Indian Contract Act but the Transfer of Property Act. So, it can be said that the Act is not exhaustive. Various acts are there which deals with specific kinds of contract. For example, Transfer of Property Act, Specific Relief Act, Negotiable Instrument Act, Companies Act, Partnership Act, etc. It is stated in the preamble that the Indian Contract Act was passed to define and amend certain parts of the law relating to contracts. This act is a statute relating to the contracts. It does not contain the entire contract law of India. The Indian Contract Act is not exhaustive, or we can say that it is not a complete code. The act applies to the whole of India except the Jammu and Kashmir state, but it does not affect any usage or custom of trade, nor does it affect any incident of contract not expressly repealed by the state. Indian Contract Act, in that there are basic concepts from which a contract is formed. The basic concepts are given in the section 2 to 9 in Indian Contract Act 1872. So, what are the basic concepts of Indian Contract Act? Let's see. First one is proposal. Proposal is similar to offer. Okay, means we offer something to do, or something in given in return we expect. Okay, and the second point is acceptance. The proposal which we have made, it should be accepted, right? And after acceptance, it comes the promiser. Means the proposal who keeps is the proposer, and proposee is the person who accepts the proposal. And after the acceptance, it comes the promise. Promise means it is the step in which when we accept the contract, or it not contract, means when we accept the offer given by the proposer and we promise to do it, that is a promise. Okay, and after promise we give consideration. Okay, we expect a consideration, means if I am offering you something to do, so I am expecting that the work should be done, and the another means you will expect me to give something consideration in money or any other terms. Okay, and with all these concepts, an agreement and a contract is formed. Okay, proposal, acceptance, promise plus consideration is equal to contract. Don't forget it. Okay, so we will start with the first term, that is proposal. Now we will see what is proposal. Let's see the definition of the proposal. Section 2A of the Indian Contract Act defines proposal as under: when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstains, he is said to make a proposal. Means here what it is said, then means one person signifies to another his willingness to do, means I am wishing to do something, I am expressing it towards you, right? Or I am expressing I am not ready to do that, means my expression to do or not to do with a view to obtain the assent of that other, means I am expressing my words in positiveness or in negativity to obtain the assent, means to obtain the response from you. Okay, to act, to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. It is said to be make a proposal, means I am offering you something and I am waiting for you to do it or not. Means if you accept, you can accept it or you can deny it. It depends on you. The term proposal in India is called offer under English law. The person who makes the proposal is called promisor. Is called promisor or offerer. Promisor or offerer. Okay. The person to whom the proposal or offer is made is called a promisee or offeree. Means the person who is making an offer, means if I am making an offer that I will send you this videos and you should pay for me, means I am giving you offer to watch it, right? Then I am promisor, and your request to watch it means you are the promisee. Okay, when the proposal is accepted, it becomes promise. Means when you accept the proposal, it becomes a promise. So let's see a illustration here of the proposal. Example is that if A tells B, I am ready to sell my horse to you for rupees 42,000. Means A is telling B that he is ready to sell his horse for 42,000. That is the willingness to do. Okay, this is called proposal made by A to B. In this example, A is the promiser. A signifies or shows his willingness or desire to sell his horse. This willingness or desire is shown with a view to obtain the assent or consent of B to purchase the horse of A. Therefore, B is the promisee in this example. Okay, and we'll see. So the proposal is an offer to do or not to do something. The offer must be made for the purpose of obtaining the assent of that another person in respect of such offer. We will further see the essentials of valid proposal, means which is legal, means it is not void, means it does not exist. We will see the existent proposal. Then what should be essentials, means characteristic features of the proposal. Perfect proposal. Okay, the first one is the proposal made be expressed or implied. The proposal must be expressed or implied. When proposal is made in writing or by spoken words, it is said to be express proposal. Means we are expressing by writing or by speaking, means in words or in writing. Okay, but when proposal is made by conduct or expressed by conduct, it is called the implied proposal, that is the indirect proposal. Okay, for example, A, without saying a single word, picks up a book from a bookstall and offers its price to the shopkeeper. Then here A has made a proposal by his conduct by picking up the book from the bookstore and giving the money, means giving the actual money to the shopkeeper without saying anything. He didn't say that, he didn't express that I am willing to buy this book, I want to do this book, please give me this book. Didn't he say? No, he didn't say such things. He just went there in the shop and he just picked up the book and paid the money. It is the way of conduct of expressing. And the second essential of valid proposal is that the proposal made to maybe to do an act or to abstain from doing an act, means to do or not to do. A moneylender offers rupees 1 lakh loan to B the borrower of the rate of 14% interest per annum. This proposal to give the loan is the proposal to do an act. B fails to loan amount to pay to A on a due date, means B fails to pay the loan amount on a due date to A. A offers to sue B, means A offers, means he says that I will sue you, means I will complain against you if B will deliver some security for that amount to A. A says that he will not sue him, means he will not go against B or make a complaint or file a complaint against B if he delivers some security for the amount to A, means the amount which A has given to B on loan, means the 1 lakh rupees which A has given to B on loan, but afterwards when B failed to pay the amount on the due date as per their contract, then A offers to B that if he gives some security, security means some tangible things, that is house, farm or any vehicle, or which amount to 1 lakh, that he should give him the security of that thing to A. This proposal of not to sue B is the proposal to abstain from doing an act. And the third essential element of a valid proposal is proposal must be made with a view to be accepted, means I am offering you a proposal, means I am offering you something, but in my mind it should be kept that he should accept it, means my conduct and my expression should be in the way that you should accept it, means I should have the positiveness and willingness to take your assent for the proposal. Okay, the proposal must be made by one person with an intention to obtain the assent of the other person. Offerer must make an offer with a view or intention that it is to be accepted by the offeree. But for example, if A tells B, if time comes, he must sell his house to a person who needs it. This is mere declaration of the intention made by A to B. This is not a proposal because it is not made with a view that B should agree or assent to it. Means in just a talking, A told B that he may sell his house to anybody who requires, means who needs it, but he didn't offer to B. Did he offer to B that I want to sell my house? Do you want to purchase it or do you want to take it? Didn't he said in such a way? He just said that I will sell my house if anybody requires it. So it is not a proposal from A to B. Okay. And the third essential of valid proposal is that proposal must be intended to create legal obligation. There should be a legal obligation behind each proposal. Without legal intention, the proposal will not be valid. Proposal must be intended to create legal relation between the offerer and offering. There should be a legal relation between the proposal and proposer and proposee. Means I am giving you some offer and you are taking the offer, but there should be a legal relation that is known as a contract. We have some contract there that we will see further. So there should be a legal relation. Okay, it must also be capable of creating legal obligation. Social or domestic relations such shall not give rise to legal obligation. Illustration, we will see that A invites B for lunch, but B fails to come to the dinner. Can A sue B? No. It was just a offer. It was just an offer? No. It is an invitation for a lunch. It is there was no any legal relation or there was no any intention to create any legal obligation behind it. So A cannot sue B for not coming for the lunch. This obligation is not a nature of the legal obligation. Hence, an invitation to dinner does not constitute an offer. Okay, it does not constitute an invitation to dinner. The famous case on this proposal is that Mrs. Balfour versus Mr. Balfour, and it is a case of 1919. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Balfour were the residents of England. Mr. Balfour, the husband, means he is the defendant here, was a civil servant who was posted in Ceylon. His wife, Mrs. Balfour, resided in England. During vacation, Mr. Balfour also resided in England and enjoyed his vacation with her. After that, he was due to return back to Ceylon along with his wife. But because of her ill health, she was advised to stay in England. The defendant promised to send her £30 per month till she became fit and joins him in Ceylon. Later, the relationship between them got estranged and they were separated from each other. Mr. Balfour failed to fulfill his promise to pay £30 to Mrs. Balfour. Mrs. Balfour filed a suit against him to recover the amount. The court held that the parties had never intended to create legal obligation. No intention existed to give rise to legal obligation. This is mere moral or domestic obligation. Therefore, Mrs. Balfour could not sue him enforce this obligation. Similarly, an invitation to dinner does not amount to proposal and therefore it cannot be enforced. Means Mr. Balfour and Mr. Balfour. Mrs. Balfour is the plaintiff here and Mr. Balfour is the defendant. The Mr. and Mrs. Balfour were residents of England. Mr. Balfour is the defendant who is a civil servant. He was posted to Ceylon. His wife, Mrs. Balfour, resided in England and during the vacation, Mr. Balfour went to meet Mrs. Balfour in England. But after the vacation, when he was coming to rejoin his job in Ceylon, Mrs. Balfour Balfour's health was ill and she was not possible to travel. So she was supposed to stay in England only. So Mr. Balfour promised to send her £30 per month till she became fit and comes back to Ceylon to stay with him. But afterwards, the relationship gets some problems and some problems get arised in the relationship, and Mr. Balfour failed to pay £30 to Mrs. Balfour, according to his words. Okay, so Mrs. Balfour filed a suit against him to recover the amount, but the court held that while Mr. Balfour made a promise to Mrs. Balfour, there was not any legal intention or legal obligation behind this. It was just a relation between, means they were both husband and wife, and the wife was not supposed to travel. She was stayed back to England, and husband was supposed to join the job again. So he came to Ceylon. So he promised to fulfill her wishes, daily things. He will send £30 per month, and after till she becomes fit. But after some while, there was some problem in their relationship, and the husband failed to pay the £30 amount per month. Due to that, Mrs. Balfour filed a suit against Mr. Balfour, which is not a legal proposal made by a husband to a wife. So the court held that it has no legal intention, so the case is void. Fifth essential element of the valid proposal is that The proposal must be made to a definite person or class of persons or to the world at large. The proposal may be made to a definite person. For example, A offers to sell his horse to B for rupees 25,000. This is a proposal made to a definite person B. This proposal may be made to the world at large. For example, A advertises in the newspaper to sell his horse to anyone who will purchase it for 25,000. This is the proposal to the world at large. Okay? And the sixth valid essential proposal is that proposal made must be communicated. There is no offer till it is communicated to the offeree. In other words, offeree must have the knowledge of the offer. Therefore, proposal must be communicated before it can be accepted. If a person offers something, if an act is done by the other and that other does the act not knowing about that offer, there will be no contract. Means in while making a proposal, there should be a communication. It should not be held that I am making a proposal and the other party is not having any perfect knowledge about it. He doesn't observe my proposal, or he doesn't consider my proposal and just says okay, but he lacks to have the knowledge about the proposal. It is not the essential of the valid proposal. Okay. Then we will further go to other points about the proposal, means that is the offer. Types of offer, that is counter proposal, means counter offer. Here the offer must be distinguished from the counter offer. There may be a counter offer to an offer. When the proposal or offer is accepted as it is, it becomes the acceptance of the proposal. But if offeree does not accept the offer in its original form or wants to accept it differently, there may come into existence the counter offer. Means we go in market and we need to buy some vegetables. For 1 kg of banana, it amounts to something 60 rupees. It's an illustration, don't mind. 1 kg banana, it amounts to 60 rupees. We say that we will buy it for 40 rupees, not 60 rupees. We give an offer. First he gives an offer to buy the banana at 60 rupees. We reject it and we give an offer to buy it at 40. We will buy it at 40 rupees. That is the counter offer. Means without accepting the original price said by the shopkeeper, and we are dropping the price of that object. That is the counter offer. Counter offer amounts to an rejection of the original offer, and giving an open offer to the original offer, it tends to accept it or refuse it. Second type of offer is that invitation to offer. The offer must also be distinguished from an invitation to offer. Sometimes some statements may be seen to be offer, but in fact they are not offers. They are merely invitation to offer. An invitation to offer is an invitation to another person to make an offer. An invitation to offer does not create legal obligation. The party who sends an invitation does not intend to receive the assent of the other person to such invitation, but the main object is doing so is to circulate the information of his willingness or desire for the possible negotiation on the basis of such information by anybody. In the case of proposal, when it is accepted by the another person, it becomes promise on the part of both the parties, that is the offerer and the offeree. Their respective promises, means for example, to deliver the goods by the offerer and to pay agreed price for the same by the offeree, are binding upon them. As regards invitation to offer, it leads to negotiation, does not become promise binding upon both the parties. Means for example, when we go in fairs, means in festivals, there are so many shops of clothes, toy shops are there, means food shop is there, food court is there, so many types of shops are there. And mostly in toy shops um, they label a tag in the shop that rupees 100, rupees 50, rupees 10, around everything in between they label a tag of some price. People think that all the things near the tag is of the same rupees, but it is just an invitation to offer. The shopkeeper doesn't intend to take the assent of the purchaser, but he only intend to take an offer. Means we should go there. When we go there and we say that give this car for 100, then he will say no, it is not 100 rupees, it is 120 rupees. We cannot make a legal relation with him. We cannot sue him for that, because it is just an invitation to offer. It is not an offer to us. It is just invitation to offer. Means the catalog books, then the advertisement of tenders, auction sales, then it comes catalog is example. And when we are in bookstalls, it has been mostly sorry. Then it comes to proposal form of insurance company. The insurance company issuing the proposal form of insurance makes an invitation to offer. When the person who intends to insure his life fills in that form and submits it to insurance company, he makes an offer to that company. It is for the company to accept it or to reject it. The reference to this proposal form of insurance company is that Canning versus Farquhar. It is a case of 1886. The next is standing or open offer. What is standing offer? When the proposal or offer is in a form of continuing offer, it is standing offer. For example, an advertisement inserted in the newspaper inviting tenders is not offer, but it is merely an invitation to offer, to receive offer, and the persons who sent the tenders in response to such advertisement is said to have made the offer, and it is for the party who gives an advertisement to accept or reject it. The offer remains open or standing during a specified period and accepted from time to time by specific orders for a specific quantity. Therefore, there is a separate contract in respect of standing offer wherever every order is made during the continuance of standing offer. For example, a banker promised to discount his customer's bill up to a certain limit. It is not a promise, it is just okay type talking. It's not a promise. Okay, that is not an accepted offer, but merely a continuing offer which became binding promise only when the person to whom it is made accepts the same by drawing a bill. Thank you all. Today I have explained you the what is proposal, which is the first basic concept of the contract, first basic step of the contract to form a contract. So I have explained you the concept of the proposal and its valid essentials elements. I hope that you all have understood what I have explained. For any queries, you can email me or message me on in my email, or you can comment in the comment box. I will mention my email ID in the description. Thank you all.